Hello, my name is Kat with a positive mindset and a healthy diet. Well, here's my story. I was diagnosed with 2 different types of cancer that spread 3 different places. I also elected to be a guinea pig for a brand new medication that's only been out about 20 years or so, because I'm 55 currently, but at 49, I would have had a series of strokes and other complications due to the old school type of chemo. So I was the sickest person in my ward and the youngest person in my ward. I had the type of cancer that you usually get at around 72 years old. It's called the old people's disease. And it really put a different spin on the type of treatment that I felt that I needed at the time. Also, the nurses were not really familiar with this type of treatment, so they had a hard time administering it to me and would, I'm tan, I would turn blue, and they would hide me from the rest of the patients in the ward not to scare them. But I had 2 different surgeries. I had 54 radiation treatments, and a lot of people would say, well, isn't chemo worse than radiation? And in my opinion, not in my experience. You have to have 54 radiation treatments. I had 54. If you miss one, you have to start all over from the beginning. And there was a moment where my battery died and I was knocking on doors just to get a ride there because I didn't want to go through that. Also, chemos are usually about 45 minutes. My chemos were 9 hours a piece for 6 months straight, and there would be nights where I would shut down that hospital. I also had, as I said, 2 surgeries. And here's the thing about the radiation, which to me was worse than chemo. You get put on a bed of sorts. That bed goes up to the ceiling. On the ceiling is a laser beam that sears in to the surgical procedures that you've had. And I could smell the smell of burning flesh. It was hardcore. So for me, as I said, the radiation was worse. I also, at the very beginning, had 14 biopsies and had a metal piece inserted into my breast. So every time I walked by a microwave, I would get a zap. I wound up in a wheelchair for 3 years as of this experience, and went in with a positive mindset every single day with a punk wig and rhinestones and shoulder pads, because I had a strong will that I was going to beat this. But when you're going through a life-changing situation, a life and death type of situation, you really know who your friends and family are. My church was there for me. However, my husband said to me, I don't want to be associated or attached to you just in case you get a relapse. I wind up in the middle of a divorce while I'm getting treatment. And with the treatment, I just couldn't walk anymore. I elected to have back-to-back treatment, otherwise I'd still be in treatment, and I wound up in a wheelchair for 3 years. And my mother, I'm an only child, said, I don't like to be around sick people. So there you are. Half of my healing process was because my church was there for me, as I said, but the other half was my strong will mindset. I went in as a vegetarian. I bumped that up with supplements and greens and shakes, and as I said, I was determined to beat this. So I believe that cancer changes the cells. I think resentment and anger also changes the cells. And I was determined out the gate that I was going to beat this. I'm now 55. As you can see, I'm healthy. I feel great. I feel better than I did when I was in my 20s. So that's my story, and I wanted to share it with you. Thanks for tuning in. Kat.